Before we begin, if you're a fan of top-level football and want to stay updated on all the latest news about Manchester City and other big clubs, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss any content and will always be up to date on everything happening in the football world. Now, let's get straight to the point. Manchester City is currently at a reflective moment in the season. With an early exit from the Champions League and almost no chance of winning the Premier League, Pep Guardiola's team is now focusing on the FA Cup and the pursuit of a spot in next season's Champions League. The loss to Real Madrid in the knockout stages of the European competition was a harsh blow for the fans, who expected a more solid performance from the team. Even before the second leg against the Spanish side, Bernardo Silva had already admitted that the battle for the English title was practically lost, and few could disagree with this assessment. Now, City's mission is to secure a place in the top four of the Premier League and at the same time prepare for a squad overhaul in the next transfer window. The team's plans for the future involve major decisions. One of them concerns striker Erling Haaland, who has been offered a very advantageous contract to be the leading figure in the club's sports project. The Norwegian is seen as a central piece of the team and may even be consulted about potential reinforcements for the upcoming year. Guardiola will have the partnership of a new sporting director, Hugo Viana, and could consider including Haaland in the decision-making process for squad selections. However, this strategy brings risks, as has been seen in other clubs that have adopted a similar approach. While some players may arrive to strengthen the team, others are expected to say goodbye to the Etihad Stadium. One of the main names tipped to leave the club is Kevin De Bruyne. The Belgian midfielder, who has been one of the team's standout players for years, has had a disappointing season and faces an uncertain future. His contract, which ends soon, may not be renewed, as the current salary he receives is unlikely to be maintained. At 33 years old and one of the highest-paid players in the squad, he may seek a new destination, especially with strong interest from Saudi Arabian clubs who would be willing to match his wages. If De Bruyne does leave, Manchester City will need to act quickly to ensure the retention of other key players. Rodri, for example, has become essential to the team, and his absence has been felt whenever he's not on the pitch. Despite his importance, the Spanish midfielder still earns less than some teammates, such as Jack Grealish and John Stones. With De Bruyne's potential departure, part of the funds freed up could be used to improve Rodri's contract, thus avoiding the risk of losing another key player in Guardiola's system. The elimination by Real Madrid served as a wake-up call for the club's board, who are already working on a major squad overhaul. The idea of the Manchester City Football Group is to ensure that Guardiola has a competitive team to continue leading until at least the end of his contract, which runs until 2027. To achieve this, the club could release players valued at over €200 million on the transfer market. Among the most valuable names who could leave, Bernardo Silva is one of the most discussed. The Portuguese midfielder, who has already expressed a desire to seek a new challenge, was pursued by Barcelona last season and could finally leave the Premier League. With a contract until 2026, his market value is around €60 million, making him one of the most expensive players on the potential exit list. Another player who may be on his way out is Ederson. The Brazilian goalkeeper, who has been a regular starter for much of his time at City, has seen his position questioned this season and could seek a new challenge. His market value is around €30 million, which could represent a good selling opportunity for the English club. In addition to Bernardo Silva and Ederson, other players who have been important to City's recent history may also be saying their goodbyes. John Stones, Mateo Kovacic, and even Jack Grealish are names that have emerged as possible departures in the transfer window. The need for a squad overhaul means the board is considering offers for these players, provided the offers are attractive to the club. Among the players already not part of the future plans, Kyle Walker was loaned to Milan and could be permanently acquired by the Italian club. Other names, such as Matheus Nunes and Calvin Phillips, also appear on the list of possible transfers, as they have not managed to establish themselves as essential pieces for Guardiola. Manchester City's big challenge for the next season will be finding the balance between strengthening the team and not losing the identity they have built over the last few years. The departure of experienced players could impact the team's performance, but at the same time, it opens up space for new signings that could breathe new life into the squad. The midfield is the area that concerns Guardiola the most. If De Bruyne does leave and Bernardo Silva is sold, the team will lose two of their main creative figures. To minimize the impact of these potential departures, City will need to act quickly in the market and look for players who can maintain the competitive level of the team. The board has already signaled that they plan to invest heavily in the next transfer window. In the last winter window, the club was responsible for almost half of the spending among Premier League teams, showing that the search for reinforcements has already begun. However, the expectation is that the major changes will happen mid-year, when the market becomes more dynamic and the opportunities for negotiations increase. Despite the frustration over their Champions League elimination and underwhelming Premier League campaign, Manchester City supporters still hold hope that the team will once again challenge for the top titles next season. The FA Cup presents an opportunity to end the season with a trophy and, at the same time, give a boost for the new challenges ahead. The squad overhaul will be crucial in determining the direction of City in the coming years. With Guardiola at the helm and Haaland as the main offensive reference, the team has the necessary foundation to remain competitive. However, the players added or removed from the squad will make all the difference in the quest to keep the team at the top of European football. Manchester City knows it needs to act quickly to avoid a turbulent transition. Planning for the next season cannot wait until the last moment, especially with the uncertainty surrounding key players in the squad. Guardiola, who has always prioritized dynamic and engaging football, has made it clear that he wants reinforcements capable of maintaining the intensity and quality of the team at a high level. The question hanging over the club is how to replace players who have been essential to City's identity in recent years. The midfield, a department Guardiola has always treated as the heart of the team, may undergo the most significant changes. With the possible departure of De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva, the manager will need to find alternatives that maintain the team's control of the game and creativity. One of the options being considered by the board is to invest in young talents who can grow under Guardiola's philosophy. The club has a history of success in developing players, and this could be a strategic approach to maintaining high competitive levels without compromising the financial future. However, the current market does not make negotiations easy, as high-level players are increasingly valued. In addition to the midfield, the defensive sector may also see significant changes. John Stones, one of the most important players in Guardiola's tactical system, is among those expected to leave the club. Despite still being valued in the market, his recent injury history may influence the decision to allow him to move to a new team. If this happens, City will need to find a worthy replacement to ensure defensive stability. Another point of attention is the goalkeeper position. Ederson, despite being a solid figure at City for years, could be nearing the end of his time at the club. If the Brazilian is sold, the team will need to decide whether to seek an experienced goalkeeper to take the starting role or whether they will bet on an internal solution, like Stefan Ortega, who has already shown quality in the opportunities he's had. While considering departures, City must also be alert to the movements of their rivals. With the increasing competitiveness of the Premier League, any mistake can prove costly. Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester United, and even Newcastle are reinforcing their squads to fight for the top, and Guardiola knows he cannot afford to let his team lose strength in the battle for the English title next season. The board's strategy seems clear: to ensure Guardiola has a balanced squad with enough options to compete on all fronts. This means some departures will need to be compensated by impactful signings. Behind the scenes, names are already being speculated as potential reinforcements for City, but the club is keeping its targets in the market under wraps. One of Manchester City's characteristics in recent years has been its ability to reinvent the squad without losing competitiveness. The departure of important players has happened before, and the team has always managed to rebuild. The difference now is that the overhaul may be bigger than in previous seasons, requiring even more care in choosing replacements. For Guardiola, the main challenge is not just bringing in talented players, but finding those who fit into the team's dynamic. The Catalan coach is known for demanding tactical intelligence and versatility from his players, making the recruitment process even more meticulous. As the season draws to a close, City still has the FA Cup as its last goal to win a title. If they manage to lift the trophy, they could end a difficult year on a more positive note. However, the major concern of the fans is not just what remains of the current season, but what lies ahead. The coming months will be decisive in defining Manchester City's future. The way the board handles the squad overhaul may determine whether the team continues to fight for the major titles or faces difficulties in maintaining its dominance in English and European football. The reconstruction has already begun behind the scenes, and fans are eagerly waiting to see what the club's next steps will be. What is clear is that changes are coming, and they could completely redefine Manchester City for the coming years. While Manchester City's management plans its overhaul, the fans are divided between apprehension and expectation. The club has achieved great feats in recent years, but the feeling that the squad has reached a point of wear and tear is undeniable. To maintain a high level and avoid a drop in performance like the one seen this season, changes need to be made. With key players set to depart, the question hanging over the Etihad Stadium is, who can arrive to replace these losses? The search for reinforcements has already begun, and the management has been monitoring several names in the market. In midfield, the area likely to undergo the greatest transformation, some options have emerged as natural candidates to replace Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva. Jude Bellingham, currently at Real Madrid, would be a dream for any team, but his transfer is unlikely due to his success in Spain. Another name that appeals is Florian Wirtz, the young talent from Bayer Leverkusen, who has similar characteristics to De Bruyne and is being closely watched by various clubs across Europe. A more affordable alternative would be Martin Odegaard, a standout at Arsenal. The Norwegian has experience in the Premier League and could fit perfectly into Guardiola's system. However, prizing him away from the London rivals wouldn't be an easy task, as he is one of the pillars of Mikel Arteta's team. Another possibility is the return of a familiar face, Ilkay Gundogan. The German, who left City for Barcelona, is still highly regarded within the club and could return to help with the squad's transition. However, his return depends on market movements and the player's willingness to leave La Liga so quickly. In defense, City also needs to prepare for potential changes. If John Stones or Kyle Walker are sold, the team will need to find reinforcements to maintain the solidity of the defense. One of the names being speculated is Josko Gvardiol, who is already at City but has yet to establish himself as an undisputed starter. To maintain depth in the squad, the club may look for another versatile defender, such as Alessandro Bastoni from Inter Milan. The goalkeeper position remains uncertain. Ederson, a key figure in recent years, may be on his way out, and City must decide whether to trust Stefan Ortega as the starter or enter the market for a new keeper. If they opt for the latter, names like Diogo Costa from Porto and Mike Maignan from Milan have emerged as interesting alternatives. In attack, despite Haaland's presence as the focal point, Guardiola may look for a player who complements the Norwegian's style more effectively. While Julian Alvarez has shown versatility, there are rumors that City may pursue a forward who offers more mobility and creative ability, easing some of the responsibility off Haaland. Rafael Leão from Milan is a name that appeals, but his signing would require a significant investment. Another factor that could influence the transfer window is competition from other European giants. The market is more competitive than ever, with clubs like Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and Paris Saint-Germain also looking for reinforcements to strengthen their squads. City will need to act swiftly and intelligently to ensure they bring in the right players without paying exorbitant fees. Additionally, there's the issue of financial fair play. Although City has immense financial power, they need to proceed cautiously to avoid exceeding the limits imposed by UEFA. This means player sales will be crucial to balance the books and make room for new signings. Meanwhile, Guardiola remains focused on the tactical side. The Catalan coach knows that changes in the squad will require adaptations in his playing style. If key players like De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva depart, he may need to adjust his approach to maintain the fluidity and possession control that characterize his team. Preseason will be crucial to test new formations and integrate the new signings. City has a history of starting seasons with a bang, but they will need to be well prepared to avoid missteps like those that proved costly this year. Fans, despite the uncertainties, trust Guardiola and the management. Manchester City has undergone transitions before and always managed to reinvent itself. However, this will be one of the most challenging overhauls in recent years, and any mistakes could have significant consequences for the club's future. As the transfer window approaches, the rumors only grow louder. Players arriving, others leaving, negotiations happening behind the scenes. It's all part of the game. What's certain is that Manchester City's 2024-25 team will be different from what we've seen this season. The question remains, will this overhaul be enough to return the club to the top? If the management gets the signings right and Guardiola manages to get the best out of the new players, City could come back stronger. However, if the choices are misguided, the team may face an even tougher season. The only certainty at the moment is that major changes are coming. Manchester City is about to undergo one of the biggest transformations in its recent history, and the fans, eager, are waiting to see what the future holds for the club. As Manchester City prepares for one of the boldest overhauls in its recent history, the only certainty is that the club cannot afford to make mistakes. With big names on the verge of departure and new players emerging as possibilities, the upcoming season promises to be a landmark. Will Guardiola succeed in shaping a new team capable of competing at the highest level again? Or will the club struggle to maintain its strength within the Premier League and the Champions League? As the backstage activity heats up and transfer market moves intensify, City fans remain watchful, eagerly awaiting the news to come. The future is uncertain, but one thing is for sure. Manchester City will not rest until it reinvents itself and continues its pursuit of titles. The summer transfer window will be decisive in shaping the next steps of this ambitious restructuring. And you, what do you think of this overhaul at Manchester City? Will the changes be enough to get the team back to the top? Share your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to like this content if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on everything happening in world football. Thank you for following along, and see you in the next video.